What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gersh1.
And today we're back to answer more of your questions in another spine-tingling, jaw-dropping episode of For the Greater WAAAGH.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question, because we get to those questions
Voiced.
first. And that is what Brian B. did. He asks, has there been a Genestealer cult that has gotten big enough to threaten Terra itself? Or are the cults crushed before they have such a threat, become such a threat?
It's an interesting question because, well, first we should explain the cults of Genestealers. Because technically that is the newest race for 40K, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's, yeah. Mm-hmm. So Genestealer cults are basically just like sleeper cells within like Imperial society usually, and they're controlled by the Patriarch. Is it the Patriarch?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're calling the hive mind and stuff like that. But the really cool thing about Genestealer cults is how expansive they can be. It's not just it could just be like the Underhive, but no, like there are some Genestealer cults that go across the entire sector.
Right, which is crazy to even think. Like, yeah, the Tyranids are a threat because they're over here devouring worlds and stuff, but like their reach goes beyond that. Just sending a single organism could overall infect a whole sector of galaxy. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, which leads us then to, could Terra be threatened? It already is. So there is one specific cult. I think we've done a 40 facts video on them. But there are rumors that they are already within Terra, and like you can't really tell. Like it's so well organized that they know that by sending certain what are they called, neophytes or hybrids, whatever they're called.
Yeah, there's different stages of the Genestealer thing.
The more human-looking ones have already infiltrated Terra through like pilgrimages, so they pretend to be pilgrims of the God Emperor, and I mean, Terra is like enormous, so supposedly they're already there.
Right. Are they a threat? I mean, yeah, but at the same time, you got to think Terra has a bunch of defenses on there. So the Genestealers that are already on there, they're not just gonna sabotage when they're that close to essentially the beacon of the Astronomicon, which in theory is maybe what the Tyranids are trying to get at.
Yeah, which is another really important thing where it's like the main threat of a Genestealer cult is the fact that they will create civil war, but more importantly, they bring the Great Devourer to them.
Right.
That's already happening to Terra. Like there are some, what are they called, hive fleets that are in a trajectory towards the Terra because of what you said, the Astronomicon, right?
So it's kind of like a moth being drawn to a flame, where they're all trying to get to the Emperor.
Yeah, it's a problem, but what isn't a problem in the 40K universe, really? Like every single faction seems to be destroying humanity, and humanity seems to be destroying themselves. So let's take that as a lesson to appreciate our own demise.
That's true, whether it's from the inside or out.
Yep.
And speaking of being on the inside, Overboard DM says, all he learned today was that we have wangs inside of our bodies. I'm a pretty old guy, and somehow I didn't know this. Thanks, guys. Warhammer lore and sex ed all in one. Yeah,
we're specialists in all of those types of fields.
Yeah.
So if you guys do have questions about your sexual reproductive organs, let us know. Come to find out, we don't release spores. Or do we? We do.
Yeah. It's called releasing spores.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, in case you guys didn't know, yes, there is a few inches of wang inside you. And supposedly, if you guys get like surgery to extend the wang, that's what they do. They're like cutting ligaments and stuff to like push that little bit out.
Yeah, you could also just do that with bricks. So like you get a piece of wood and then you cut a hole that is,
brick size?
No, not brick size. You cut a hole that's like your junk size. So you put that plank on top of your, I guess, pelvis, right? That's your pelvis. And then you just have a friend lay bricks on it, pushing that down so that little extension, because half an inch is a lot. So
yeah, it's all blame the fupa. fatty upper pelvic area.
Exactly. That's what you're trying to get rid of.
Right.
Yeah, you're trying, and I guess you could say that then it just simulates having a longer wang, but no.
And this is all thanks to your Neighborhood Space Marine Codex.
Oh yeah.
Page 69. Yeah, that's the one.
Next question.
This one says... Oh, we already did that one. That's the Genestealer one.
I have one from Isaac Langdon. What are the Orcs options for the old ones? If the old ones return, what would the Orcs do? I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
So the Orcs would just fight the old ones. And the reason for that is because the old ones... So in my understanding of what the Krork War were, they were just the initial Orcs that were well organized because the Orc war bosses or warlords or whatever they were called back then were members of the WAAAGH tribe. So they were the biggest and the baddest, so they were able to put the other Orcs in line, the Speed Freaks, the Evil Sons, blah blah blah. And then the Krork fought with the with the old ones. Once the old ones went away because of the Enslaver Plague, what ended up happening is that certain like Evil Sons, Goth, and like Bad Moon Orcs that are just naturally drawn to those things, they got big enough to challenge the Blood Axe guys. And then there was a big thing called the Big Party, where the Orcs kind of like had a huge civil war. And that's why you see now that all Orcs are fragmented and they're not together. So if you bring back the old ones, the only alliance with the old ones that I think the Krork had was the fact that the Blood Axe clan was like
in charge.
Yeah, but now that they're not, it's just gonna be like, oh, these are just another
thing to fight.
Yeah. So I hope that makes sense.
And since we're on the topic of Orcs, Bunny Hop says, "Why do the Freebooters exist? To me, it doesn't make sense that Orcs would behave in that way."
The same reason, like I think they are an offshoot of. They're more of like a free-thinking, militaristic group, kind of like mercenaries. When you go into, I mean, I guess I've watched a documentary on Vice with the Iraq War, and there's mercenaries out there. There's people that join the military, like regular American military. They get done with their 4 years, or whatever long it is, and then they're like, well, I don't want to return home, but I also don't want to enlist. I can make more money as a
mercenary.
As a mercenary, yeah. And yeah, that's basically what the Freebooters are. They're like, I don't want to create a WAAAGH necessarily. I just kind of want to loot. Not that mercenaries are looting, but yeah. Or maybe they are.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Tin Man 40K. Was Slaanesh an Eldar before he or she became a Chaos God? And if so, doesn't that mean that the Emperor will kill all the human race if he becomes a god?
So, no, Slaanesh was not an Eldar. It was just the pure emotions. But you do have a point where, like, the birth of Slaanesh created the Eye of Terror. So the birth of the Emperor could possibly destroy Terra. But you have to look at the Eldar gods, which I believe in my theory, or my head canon, the Eldar gods, like, was it Cain and Isha? They were all old ones, and they were venerated by the Eldar. And then through that veneration, they became something in the warp. They became deities in the warp. The actual like living body of that old one that represented Isha is probably gone. And the fact that they exist and we don't have any records of like huge catastrophic explosions because of the birth of Caleb or of Cain or something like that, I don't think that's going to happen for the Emperor. But who knows?
All right. Because, I mean, it doesn't make sense for the Emperor to destroy the thing that created him after he was trying to save them.
Yeah.
But maybe that's like a give and take that happens. Because, I mean, not everything in 40K is, happy and whatnot. But because it would be in line that, like, the Emperor manifests into a god, Terra gets blown apart, you lose thousands of worshippers, custodies and whatnot, and now you have the fragmented humanity, like, looking at the god saying, well, this is what we wanted, but at the same time, he killed all these people.
Yeah.
So it's like another fragmentation for humanity.
Yeah. I think it would be really awesome if GW ever does create a model for the God Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And like we have, he's still on the throne, but we also have kind of like an avatar of the Emperor.
Yes.
Hopefully, it doesn't suck.
This one's by Tony Bayer. Could new Primarchs be created? And if so, could there be female Primarchs, which would allow female Space Marines to be a thing? Heresy.
No, I don't think a Primarch can be created now.
Yeah, the materials, the time, the effort that was all needed to create the Primarchs back then, I feel has been lost, or at least tampered so much that it's near impossible to do. Because if they could do it, why haven't they done it?
Right.
Why would you go through all the trouble of making Primaris Space Marines when you could just make a Primarch?
Right. To lead the regular Space Marines.
Yeah.
Also, in that same kind of boat, like GW should just bring back some of like Lehman Russ or the Lion or stuff like that.
Yeah, why create a new one when there's still some that are still alive that haven't returned yet?
Yeah. And then what was the part 2?
Oh, could they create a female Primarch to create female Space Marines with the Gene Seed?
Oh, okay. No, I don't think so. Well, like, lore-wise, there's nothing stopping GW from doing that. Like, if they wanted to introduce female Space Marines.
Well, isn't it the Gene Seed doesn't work with the chromosome?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
They could always
that's
work
what he was
around
saying.
it.
Yeah, that's what, like, yeah. But also just like the Sisters of Battle, the Sisters of Silence, they're really badass Imperial forces that I think GW should pay more attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Which, I mean, they are adding a lot of stuff to the Sisters of Battle, with like those war suits, new Canoness models and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they are making the Sisters a lot more like Space Marines, in my opinion. Like, if you look at the line, there's a lot of similarities between them. But the thing that separates the two is that the Sisters, besides being, women, they have more of a religious connotation, more religious embellishments, like doves, and that kind of thing. So I think that's what separates the two, where it's like Sisters are female Space Marines, kind of.
Yep. Who worship the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were once the brides of the Emperor. Ooh. This next question, still talking about Primarchs, it's Mike? If it's M-I-C-K, that's Mick, right?
M-I-C-K?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mick.
Mick says, if one of the Primarchs was to land in our planet as an infant now, which one would you rather it be?
Oh, Vulcan, hands down.
You think so?
Yeah, I'd rather have it be Vulcan. Well, I mean, because that goes into the question, like, did the Primarchs become who they are because that's who they were always meant to be, or did their surroundings make them become that? The whole nature versus nurture debate.
Yeah, and I honestly think, like, just based on the stories of all the different Primarchs, it was nurture.
Yeah.
So essentially, I feel like it doesn't really matter who lands on this planet. If it's Angron, it's not like we're gonna put butcher's nails on him because we don't have that.
Yeah.
Or I don't think. Well, I mean, I guess steroids, right?
But I mean, they don't work as well as butcher's nails.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it and then let's say if it wasn't, right, like if we were supposed to adopt, because usually like the recruits of their homeworld end up being part of their legion or whatever. Who would you want then, or like what legion would you want Terra or Earth to be part of?
It would be interesting to see Sanguinius, because you have the whole like this dude has wings.
Oh yeah.
And just to see how humanity would freak out, basically calling him like an angel or something like that. And then there'd be the whole thing of like, oh, there is proof of God. And they're like, well, why would an angel fall on Earth? This is Lucifer. And then it's like, no, now that I think about it, no. Because humanity would tear itself apart because of that.
Yeah, trying to figure out exactly what's...
all these religious wars and whatnot, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it would last very long, because remember that Primarchs age really quick. So within a year, he would already be like smart, or like have the capacity to just take control of the entire planet.
I don't know about a year though, but like...
Because that's what happened when he landed in...
well, yeah, that's true.
And he was fighting mutants.
Yeah.
What's he going to fight here?
Mutants.
Yeah. So does that mean then that you would like Earth to have recruits for the Blood Angels?
I mean, I guess. We're already bloodthirsty, like,
Because their whole thing is close combat, right? Because they have chain axes and jump packs.
Yeah.
And then the Red Thirst.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I think we as a society are a little flawed, I guess.
Who would you pick?
I think I would want to go with Perturabo, just because it's like technology and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's honor in like having the grunt work a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that.
So
Give everybody jobs by trying to create titans.
yeah, that would be badass. We become a hub for Titan building.
Mm-hmm.
This next question comes from Angel Warrior 28. Did humanity have friendships / alliances with the Eldar and other Xeno races during or before the Golden Age of technology? During or before, yeah. So, not that they haven't said, but I assume they would, because the Golden Age of technology was right before the strife. What is it called?
The Age of Strife.
The Age of Strife. There you go. So yeah, I'm assuming that they bumped into like the Eldar. And
They have to have.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't really talk about it because, again, it's more of a focus on how humanity was, like, prospering, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, there has to be a few times where they cross paths, but nothing to the point of like massive battles or like years spanning alliances.
Yeah, because you got to remember that during the Golden Age of technology, or the Dark Age of technology for the Imperium, the Eldar were at the height of their power too.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until the birth of Slaanesh that the Age of Strife happened. So I could see like some expedited or like craft worlds basically interacting with humanity as it's expanding through the soul system or something.
And the thing is, like, when Eldar see humans, even though humanity was at the height of like their, or at least reaching the pinnacle of what they could be, the Eldar still saw them as like primitive. It's like, oh, you guys think you're the best? Like we've been way past where you guys are at.
To the point where I think, because remember, back then there still would have been a webway portal on Luna.
Moon. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations where like the Eldar visited humanity.
It's
or
like
the system.
Right. It's like when humanity hit like the golden age, Dodge already went to the moon. And then he went into the gates and he went into the Eldar craft worlds, and that's why they hit their prosperity.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All day, every day.
Yep. Dodge or Doge?
Doge.
Oh.
Like Doja Cat.
Oh, okay. I'll remember that now.
Yep. I think Doja Cat is a pretty good artist. Like, she's very real. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She should come out with... Because she's all into, like the anime aesthetic and all that kind of stuff. She should adopt the grim dark aesthetic. Then all of the 40K fans would flock to her.
Flock.
So imagine that. If the Warhammer 40K community got behind Doja Cat, she can take over Megan Thee Stallion and ride her into battle. I don't know. I would pay to see that. Next question.
This one's from Ian Lachey. Do all races keep slaves from captured warriors or civilians, or is it mainly just the Drukhari?
All of them.
Yeah, for the most part. Like, whenever you go into a war or try to conquer a planet, like, it's pretty much necessary to somehow enslave or use the population of that planet for your own means. Because, again, you're not native to this world. You need supplies. You need manpower. And the easiest way to do it is to use the population that's already there.
Yeah, with the exception of maybe the craft worlds. That's the only Eldar civilization that's just like, well, we already achieved utopia on these craft worlds.
Mm-hmm. We don't need them. But for the most part, like, they don't go out like and capture like people like that. Like the Drukhari do, because like they get power from pain, and it's like, well, let's take a whole Eldar world for our, entertainment.
Yeah. The Eldar, their lore, if you really start thinking about it, it is kind of cool. Because they are just like the gatekeepers or like the protectors of the universe.
Yeah, Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Well, the Phoenix Warriors were the Power Rangers.
Yeah. One last question. Did my phone die? No, there it is.
Does it disappear when it dies?
Yeah. This question comes from... No, we just read that one. Oh, shit. Do you have one?
Let me see. Oh, all the way to Z. Other than the Tyranids, do any other aliens originate from outside the galaxy? I mean, unless you're counting... Well, no, because the warp is supposedly contained within our galaxy.
No.
No. The old ones went away and maybe came back. The Silent King went away and came back.
Yep.
But other than that, no.
I don't know if the new lore for the Zotes, that might be one. But no, I think that they are from this planet or this universe. But yeah. Or galaxy, sorry. Those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening. Talk to you tomorrow.
This has been the Sound Alchemist.
Gersh1.
And we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.